Hello guys, this is our third episode of our public speaking series. And if you haven't watched the first two episodes, please go to check it on our YouTube or Bilibili account. We have uploaded them. And those two are basically about the major structure of a public speaking speech and also about and the second episode is about how many types of speech are there, and also about the rhetorics of the speech, which are logos, ethos, and pathos. So we strongly recommend you to check those two out before you move on with us to this third episode, which we are going to talk about some useful skills that you need to have and use during public speaking. It's not just skills in your content, but how you move your body around and use that to convince your audience. So hello guys, I am Roy, this is Connie, and we are proud to present you our seminars about public speaking. So Connie, would you like to do some introduction?
Yeah, so hi guys, this is Connie, and so happy to see you guys. So actually there's not any introduction. If you want to learn me, you can just check the video we have done it. Well, so really happy that we can enjoy several classes. Yeah.
Same with me, and I'm going to grade 10 when school starts. She's going to grade 9. We're in the same school in Canada. We are both from China, and we have the same interest as public speaking, so that's why we got here. And we're proud to present you, sorry, one moment. Today we're proud to present to you some useful and professional techniques of public speaking, and hope this helps. So first of all, before we actually move on to our topic, we're going to show you a video about the comparison between a bad presentation and a good presentation. And just to make you realize that how important it is to learn these skills. It's not just for entertainment or anything else, it's for your own benefit as a public speaking speaker. So give me 1 second. And here it is.
There isn't any sound.
Oh, sorry.
And I would ask everyone to
start again.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Public Speaking. Today's first presenter is Ranjit, and I would ask everyone to give him their full attention. So Chantal, could you dim the lights, please?
First speaker is not doing really great when he's doing his first speech.
The British imposed a lot of unpopular taxes on the American colonists and didn't let them elect representatives to the British government. In retaliation, the Americans started to boycott British goods. In 1773, Americans in Massachusetts dumped a shipload of British tea into Boston Harbor. This became known as the Boston Tea Party.
Okay, so some problems he have here now. First of all, he needs an introduction. He just kind of jumps straight into his speech. Like, it feels kind of awkward to just start. It feels like he's starting from the middle of his speech. He doesn't have a hook to interest the audience.
Yeah, I would just, whoa, this speech is so boring. I want to listen as his audience.
Yeah, and also he's like reading from a paper. He's not even making any eye contact. Also, he's like standing sideways, which is even worse for this presentation because you want to face your audience all the time, unless you're showing them.
And hi guys, if we just read the paper and show you the ability of public speak, well, I believe you would just click the cancel and go out. Well, you may say, is it just a class? Well,
Yeah, by this she means if we are doing our classes reading off from a paper, like we're reading to you how to get good on public speaking, 99% of you will just leave immediately because it doesn't feel like a class or presentation. So let's see how he...
As punishment, the British...
Oh yeah, one more thing. He doesn't turn off his phone. So in any serious event, like public speaking is pretty serious if you want to do it well. And you need to provide the least amount of distraction possible for the audience. And distraction is a very important concept we will be touching on today, because a lot of things we are teaching you is to avoid distraction for the audience. If your audience has too much distraction going on, they will pay less attention to your own speech, which will make your speech less effective. So you want to concentrate all the attention to yourself and your speech instead of other insignificant parts like the ringing of a phone, which people laugh and then some of them will be distracted. They won't be as concentrated before.
Imposed laws known as the Intolerable Acts, including the Quartering Act, which made Americans let British soldiers live in their homes. Some of the American colonies created a Declaration of Rights and Grievances, which they sent to Britain, but the British just sent soldiers to the colonies to put down any rebellion. This led to the first battles of the Revolution at Lexington and Concord.
Thank you, Ranjit. I know it's very hard to give a presentation in front of the entire class. Now, would anyone like to offer Ranjit constructive feedback about his presentation? Any tips for what he might do differently next time? For example, were you all able to hear what Ranjit was saying?
Not really. He needs to speak louder and face the audience.
Yes. Great suggestion. Anyone else?
He was reading from his paper, so it didn't feel like he was really talking to us, you know?
Exactly. It's important when you're speaking to look up every sentence or two and make eye contact with someone in the audience. Anything else that Ranjit could do to appear more relaxed and feel more confident?
He could smile more.
Yes, smiling makes us feel relaxed. Oh, and make sure your phone is off before you speak next time. I do have one more suggestion. To connect with listeners, it's a great idea to use a personal story or experience as an example. Can you try that next time?
I think so, yes. Next week, my presentation will be about the causes and effects of stress.
We look forward to hearing it.
And then he's doing a better presentation after this feedback and this setback from the first week. So next week, he's going to be different. So he's going to improve just like you guys after we finish teaching you. He's also a beginner in public speaking.
Ranjit is first up again today, and I look forward to his new presentation. Jorge, could you dim the lights, please?
Good morning. Today I'd like to talk about the causes and effects of stress and how to cope with stress. Stress has many causes, including work or school, life events, changes, or unrealistic expectations of yourself. Some effects of stress include headaches, trouble sleeping, depression, or lack of concentration. I know how hard it can be to deal with stress. Last year, I started working after school to save for college, but I didn't have time to do homework and my grades went down. I had trouble sleeping, I only ate junk food, and I stopped hanging out with my friends. Fortunately, I was able to talk with a school counselor to manage my stress. She suggested that I reduce my hours at my job, eat healthy foods, and get some exercise.
You can see here he's facing the audience, and he's also not looking at his paper very often. I mean, if you're doing a speech, you can have your paper ready, because every time when you're doing a speech, you get nervous, and that's normal. And if you happen to forget some part of the speech, you can take a real quick look and then you put it down and then do the speech continuously without looking at it. And in that way, you won't just stuck in somewhere because you don't have your paper ready. But at the same time, you want to avoid looking at the paper too much. So he's doing pretty great here. And also another thing he's doing great, apart from smiling, is his tone is more variant than the first one, and it's more lighthearted and not as monotone as the same one. Because if you listen here,
Revolution at Lexington and Concord. The British imposed laws known as the Untitled.
it's kind of like just reading like a robot. But here,
I didn't have time to do homework and my grades went down. I had trouble sleeping, I only ate junk food, and a counselor to manage my exercise. So I asked my teachers for extra help. Now,
it's like he's talking to you in person, like talking to a friend. So which means it's more connectable for the audience. They feel it's easier to understand what he's talking about.
I feel better. It's important to recognize when you're stressed and to ask for help. Thank you.
Great work, Ranjit. I want you all to reflect on how much stronger today's presentation was. Ranjit looked us in the eyes, he spoke clearly, he smiled at us, and he used a personal anecdote to help us feel more connected.
So personal anecdote basically means a personal story or your own life experience. Because when you're talking about yourself, it's a lot more convincing. And it happens to be similar for other people most of the times. And he's also doing it in a clear and loud voice. All these we will talk more later.
Well done.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah. And that's all for the video. And
Yeah, actually his first speech is, well, I must say super boring, and his phone and a lot of, his vocal variety, his hand gesture, and he looks at his paper.
mm-hmm.
But the second one, the second speech, just through a 1 week exercise, and he just practiced a lot. I mean, if I was him, I can do it actually. It was pretty good job, and I can't imagine, Well, I think after a week, he'll practice more, and his vocal variety will be better and better, and maybe he'll run the champion, because he's practicing and practicing. Yeah, good job.
So yeah, thanks for sharing your ideas with us. And just to credit, this video is created by Project IDEA. It's not being created by ourselves. And so basically the pace that we will be doing these videos is almost like once a month, or at the most twice a month, because we're also busy with a lot of other stuffs, and school is opening really close up. So sorry if you're too impatient to wait for our videos, but otherwise, let's go into the first part of today, which is called body control. So when you're delivering a speech, people, first of all, don't really listen. First of all, they look at you, they see what kind of person you are, and then they make some judgments. After that, only after that will they actually pay more attention to your speech and its content. So first of all, your physical appearance. Let's look at the picture right here. So there are 6 types of wears, and you definitely do not want to wear like this in any kind of speech. Because if it's a speech, it's a speech, and you do not wear too informal clothes when you're doing it, or else no one will be taking you seriously. You need to at least to be this or this most of the time. Like when you're doing a speech with people you know, and it's not a lot of people, and it's not like really important events like your wedding ceremony or like your I don't know, maybe your party in which you're celebrating your father's birthday, or if you're celebrating you're getting promoted and you're doing a speech for your colleagues and also your boss. Those types of occasions you need to wear pretty formal. Or if you're invited to do a speech with business people or with people in your field of area who are like experts in those type of academic situations, you need to wear formally. Otherwise, you can do like casual clothing, but not too informal. So, but I guess you guys all have a pretty good sense of how to wear stuff in different occasions, even without public speaking. So I won't talk too much about that. What I want to elaborate on is posture and movements. Posture is how you stand. Movements is how you move. Because yeah, Connie is getting ready because she wants to show us how to do it correctly. Movements is also important as well as posture. As contrasting as how it might sound, you don't actually stand still all the time when you're doing a public speech. So first of all, posture. Okay, Connie is going to show us first how some people can do it.
20h30.
So the first one is called the sway back, in which you're leaning too far behind, like what she's doing. Because some people tend to just lay back when they're doing a speech. They feel like they're kind of afraid of the audience and they want to like keep distance from the audience. And the second one is called prone or duck stance, in which they are like standing too still and too solid, like rock solid, because they are too nervous and they can't even relax their muscles. When you're standing really stiff, it feels like you're just not confident or natural, and people feel kind of awkward even looking at you. Yeah, and then the third one is rounded shoulders or hunched back, in which this is a really obvious sign of inconfidence. You're not feeling confident about yourself. You're not sure about what you're talking. That's not good. Don't use it. The fourth one is called head forward, or you're just like lowering your head and then you're doing a speech. It's also not good because it feels like someone's talking to you in a sad way. You know, like when people are sad, they kind of just drop their heads, and when they feel down. Most of the times, unless you're doing a speech in a funeral, you don't want to have your heads down. And it also gives people a feeling like if you happen to have paper, it feels like you're just reading from somewhere. Or other times you're on the podium, you're like this, holding on the podium. If you're looking down, people don't know what you're doing. Like you need to show them your face. So thank you, Connie, for showing us the postures. Also, just those are the incorrect ones. So please show us the correct one in which you're standing up straight. And you're also putting your hands naturally on the side. Or if you're doing gestures, then that doesn't matter. Yeah, you can see she's standing up straight, and her head is vertical with her spine. So it's a sign of confidence and also naturalness. See, it tells people that I got this. It shows that that you're in control. You know what you're talking next. Also, her legs and feet are not so wide apart and not so close up. They are shoulder length, which is the most stable position, and to make sure she does not wobble when she speak. Some people are wobbling because like those are type of movements they're doing without even realizing it. And you don't want too much little movements, and that can be distracting. So speaking of movements, Connie, please help us to show how do you walk around the stage. Because when you're doing a speech, your audience can be large and there can be a lot of people. If you're only standing in the center for the entire time, people can get bored. If you're walking around, it makes the stage more active because you're interacting with the audience, with your glance, with your eye contact, with your gestures. You want to face the audience, but sometimes they can be like in a semicircle. So you want to walk around and face them. Yeah, just like what Connie is doing. She's slowly walking around, like not too fast, and you don't need to do it all the time. Sometimes you can stand in a place for a while, and then after you finish the part, you can move back, or you can just go somewhere else. And just act natural, you know? So some other reasons you should keep your posture right. Yes, thank you, Connie, for the demonstration. When you exhibit good posture, your bones are aligned properly and your muscles and joints, including the ones in your face and jaw, work naturally. This helps your enunciation. So you speak clearer when you are standing in the right way. It's easier for you to speak. If you're standing like this or like this, it's kind of hard to breathe, you know, not even speaking. And because poor posture leads to problems with joints and muscles, a person may feel tired or have trouble concentrating on the presentation, the message they're trying to share. So if you're doing like this all the time, or you're too stiff, like the prone position in the second one, you're too stiff all the time. I can't really show it myself. But if you're too stiff all the time, you can get tired and you'll think about, oh gosh, why does my arms and shoulders hurt? And then at that same instance, while you are talking, you can just suddenly pause and forget what sentence you have next. So please avoid that. And also, posture is all part of your body language. When you slouch, you appear lazy and disengaged. Yeah, that's one I haven't talked about. Apart from not showing confidence, you kind of feels like you're lacking energy. Audiences like energetic speakers. They like enthusiastic speakers. Okay, they don't like lazy speakers because it makes them feel lazy too. And when you stand too rigid, you look unapproachable, which means you're not friendly enough for the audience to take you in. Well, they can feel like you're just like, and then they won't really feel your like feel your charisma, if you know what I mean. And you can be confident and knowledgeable if you're standing with a good posture. So yeah, and the first one is about what I have talked about, like the lungs. You need to stand up straight to breathe naturally. Also, taking deep breaths help you relax. So that's all for the body part. And now, Connie, let's share with us how you control your face.
Okay, so now guys, we are going to focus on your face. Well, try to imagine if you just do a speech and your face, well, if your audience can't see your face, well, what's the, yeah, that's so horrible, right? And if an audience just watch your speech, and your face is the most important part, right? Because if you just have a body, or do you think it's okay? Well, if you add your face, and that's a complete speech, right? So now let's focus on the face. So here the PowerPoint, can see there are some people, not some people, just two people actually, two men. Well, you should all know it, at least one, right? Well, if you can type who is he, and maybe in the comment. So let's watch his really interesting, face. I can say it's interesting, right? And there are several kinds of face in one speech, in one picture. Actually, in a speech, you may see Trump is pretty, hot and really exciting man. In his speech, whoa, the whole world is just shakes. Well, Actually, in fact, do you think he's really such a man? Nope, right? He can't do it anytime, every time, right? He can't, well, so now I'm going to eat my breakfast. And well, I'm so excited, you want breakfast? No, he can't, right? He can't do it everywhere, but why? But why he do it? When will he do it? In a speech. In a speech, he must show his audience, he must show us different kinds of face, you know, different kinds of tone and different kinds of feelings. He must show us. And the most convenient way is your face. Maybe just don't see my face in my hand gesture. I can show you guys, but can I say, oh, I'm angry? Can I show you? No. But if I was pretty angry, well, you can feel like I'm so angry, right? So let's look at him. Let's watch, like maybe here in the first picture. Okay, right? It may be like in the middle, like he's happy, right? He just so his feelings.
He's making a point. Like this is what I'm saying.
Well, like let's say the third one. He just like a little bit, you know, and you can feel like look at Roy. Well, let's see here. What was it? Have a car, right? Everybody see me, watch me do it, right? Also, there are so many different, you know, face can show your feelings. So now, I just wanna give you guys a small example. I just tell an impromptu story, right?
Oh.
But I don't know what I'm talking about. And so let's welcome Roy to have a face with me, right?
Okay. So I'll do the expressions, you'll do the storytelling.
Okay, I'm not sure what will I talk about. So, I'm a little girl. Well, actually, today, it's such bad day. You can't even imagine what happened. My best friend, she go back to China, and I'm pretty sure I can see her in the next year, and I don't know when can I see her. Well, but when I just came to home, because today I just sent her to the airport, and when I just go home, you know, what did I find? I found $100 in the road. You can't even imagine. And I was like, perfect, you know? And I just tried to imagine, well, what can I eat? Well, what can I eat? But why just go to shop? I want to buy some chocolates and cakes. And, you know, the person who lost the $100, he just called and he want to ask it. Okay, I'm a kind person, so I gave to him. So my chocolate, my cake, just fly away. Well, I just go home and just lock my door, and I'm in my room. And then suddenly, my phone just rang. Well, why? Because today is Roy's in a public speech. And I was like, whoa, what exciting thing. Whoa, today, Roy's speech class. Whoa, I can't wait. I want to do it now. I want to learn it now. Whoa. Just a small speech, but you know, there are so many kinds of feelings can express. See, Roy, I saw his face, it just change. And that's just like a speech. And if you just, you know, have one face. So today I'm pretty happy. Now I'm pretty sad. And now I'm, exciting. Wow, today, I have Roy's class. Wow, pretty good. The thing is, I can feel it. I can
You
feel
can't
it,
even
right?
convince yourself if you have the same face.
Are you happy? Well, if you are, horrible, right? And yeah, so use face. Don't think it's awkward and as so, clumsy, wow, stupid. It's not. Like in the speech, it's pretty normal. And if you use it, your speech will be successful. That's the face. Well, actually, I believe all of you guys will learn it pretty well. So now let's focus on eye contact, the most important part. Actually, every part is pretty important. So eye contact. Well, actually eye contact is not super hard to learn because it's not a new knowledge, right? If you just talk to someone, for example, I'm talking to you guys, I must watch your eyes, right? If I talk to my parents about, well, Mom, I don't want to go to school. Not just kidding. If I just talking to my parents, I must watch their eyes, right? It's the polite way. You must do it because it's a polite way. You must be a polite person, and you will let your maybe your parents, your friends, the person we are talking about, let them feel comfortable. Not like if you just, maybe I'm talking to Roy. Oh, Roy, what do you think we're gonna do for this class? This thing is good? Not right? And your parents won't let you do it. So, actually, you might say, Connie, you know what? You let me see you see my audience. I can't do it. It's so hard. I'm sorry, I can't do it. It's really awkward. Will they think, oh, I might stupid, silly? Well, if you say yeah, and I will tell you now, we have a way to do it. Actually, Roy told me, and I feel it's a really good way, and I'm trying to do it. I feel, wow, such a good way. So now let's look at the really cute panda here. This panda, well, he is Roy's, he's the person, not the person, he's the animal who as Roy want to speak to him, right? Actually, Roy, he's pretty shy and he can't watch others' eyes like you guys. So this time, what will he do? Is to try to look at your audience eyebrow. It's not the eyes, and it's not eyes that you will feel comfortable because it's just the eyebrow, right? And actually, your audience will think like will look like you are watching their eyes, but it's not. But it seems, yeah, pretty good. Let's watch, conversation between Roy and his panda. And that should be good, right? So now let's look at the small, picture, an interesting picture about it. Well, let's have a look. So please, Roy, let's focus on it. Looking at the speaker lets them know that we are listening to them and that we are interested in what they are saying. Just basically polite, right? And let's see the second one. When we talk, we also need to look at the person we are speaking to. Like I said, it's the polite, right? Be careful not to stare at people, not stare. Staring is when you look at them too much or all of the time. Staring makes people feel creepy. They do not like it. It makes them feel like you may not be safe to be around. They will have weird thoughts. You do not have to look into a person's eyes. That might be uncomfortable for you and for them. You do not do it. Be looking at them we can see if they are interested in what we are saying, right? If they look bored or if they are looking around interested at me, I can see that they are not interested in what I'm saying. That might mean I'm talking too much or too loudly about things they don't want to hear, or I may be doing something unexpected. It's time for me to stop talking. Maybe your speech is utterly boring, right? You can just look at them or toward them, right? By looking at them, you can see their facial expressions and their body language. This will tell you if you should keep talking or if it's the time to stop, or if you might be behaving unexpectedly. Right? Yeah. Thanks to Roy, a pretty good show.
If I'm talking and then, for instance, oh, my favorite food is sushi. It's my favorite food because it has fish and also rice and also the meat on the top, and also she's not even listening. So I should stop talking. Maybe I should talk about something else to
Maybe
capture her
bamboo,
interest.
you know.
Yeah. So instead of talking about my favorite food, how about let's introduce your favorite food, which is about bamboo. Yay.
Oh. So that's about eye contact. And eye contact actually, well, I believe you guys are all about 10 years old or more than 10 years old, right? And through over 10 years old, for each person, you must look at his or her eyes, right? That's the basic point. So it's not that super hard, and just try to, do it in your speech. So what's going on? Maybe let me guys, it's about voice. So now let's welcome Roy to have a introduction about the voice.
Okay, thank you, Connie. And just to add something on, for your expressions, it could be not that variant or natural at the beginning. Like you can feel like, why should I pretend to have some expressions whereas I don't really have any at the time when I'm doing the speech? Well, sometimes it could be seen as a skill or tool to let your audience capture your emotions behind your speech or the feelings that you want to deliver to them through your facial expressions. Sometimes you personally are not feeling it, but you should show it on your face. And how do you do that? That's not natural for some occasions. You need to practice them. Okay, the natural expressions are the best, but if you don't have many or couldn't do many, you need to practice them. Maybe like Adolf Hitler. So he's a really bad person, ethically speaking. But if you only consider him as a public speaker, he's really good at it. That's why he became the supreme leader of the Nazi Party, right? Because he's great public speaking skills. And why he was so good at it is how he uses provocative gestures and expressions. You see in these pictures how he's like glaring into the audience with his steady glance, and he's doing the firm gestures like, I want to talk about this. You should go with me. We should do this together. Look at this. Look at that. How are we going to achieve this? Well, through blah, blah, blah. So I might be not imitating him, but just trying to let you guys feel like his presence because it's really strong. I've seen his videos. He's a provocative speaker, which means people are being hyped up and excited by his speeches. That's why they follow them. And unfortunately, he's doing really bad stuff to the world. So you shouldn't learn anything apart from public speaking skills from him. Okay, so sorry for interrupting, and now let's move on to your voice. So all of these skills, when you practice, you can find a mirror and then look at yourself, because you don't really see yourself when you're just doing it alone. You need a mirror or someone who's beside you and tell you how you could improve. But for voice, you don't need others or a mirror. You can listen to yourself. So when you're doing a speech, volume, volume, volume. Like you can see how I'm speaking right now. I'm speaking loud and clear through my lungs and through my stomach. Normally when I'm talking, it's like this. So today we will be talking about public speaking, and I will be talking about volume and pacing, if you don't mind, Connie. And I think you will be talking about tones. So when I'm normally talking, I'm not a loud spoken person. I'm like normally speaking softly or just like average volume. But if I'm doing public speaking, I want everyone in the room to hear my voice, or everyone who's listening to my speech to be able to hear me. And sometimes when you do not have a microphone, it's even more important to have loud, clear voice. And that voice could be louder than you feel, or you feel that it should be. So most of the time, especially for beginners, a tip is that speak louder than you feel comfortable at. So if you're feeling too comfortable with your voice, it's probably too small for others. You should speak like as if someone's squeezing your lungs and you're speaking very loud. But not to the point of shouting, which is kind of aggressive, like what I was doing right now. And so also considering the size of the room and the size of the audience. If it's not too big, you don't need to speak that loud. And also a smart use of volume is not only using it to like a clear, loud voice. If you have that kind of voice all the time, it can be boring. Sometimes if I want to be dramatic, I can be really soft when I'm telling a story. And suddenly, boom, the plane crashed. So that's a dramatic way of telling story. Instead of, I can be telling a story that's really dramatic and suddenly the plane crashed. So that's not dramatic at all, okay? You need to show it with your voice. And other times when you're making a point like this, you can soften your voice, or you can enlarge your volume. That depends on the situation. If your audience is being really loud and not paying attention, you can suddenly raise your voice to catch their attention to your speech. And that's a smart way instead of using, shh, listen to me. No, just use your volume. Or if they're feeling sleepy, if you're doing a speech like, today I will be doing a topic about foods in different cultures because I like food. And the reason I like food is because it gives me energy and also improves my mood. So when I suddenly talk loud, some people who are like, they came back and then they began to listen to you. Or if they're playing with something, they feel like you're meaning it, you're serious. So they will listen to you. And another thing to notice that with volume is that it's hard to master at the very start, because sometimes the amount of sound you hear is different than others, because when you're talking, your ears are really close with your mouth. If your feeling is too loud, actually it could be just okay for others. Just keep in mind for that. I'm going to say that again. And now let's move on to tones. So Connie.
Well, great, great introduction. So let's move on tone. Actually, I wanna give you guys a story before I introduce it. Well, in my class, there's always a lot of stories, because, you know, I do think it's easy to learn something by examples and stories, because my speech, my class, it's a speech, and in my speech, I prepare some examples, some points, like to help you guys, right? So, you guys can have a try. What's the worst subject I learned? For Roy, have a try.
So if I want to give an example, the worst subject I learned could be, for instance, computer science.
No. Back to China, my worst subject is history. Do you know why?
Yeah, why?
Because of our history teacher. Actually, a class, like my class, like Roy class, like a teacher's class was my history teacher's class. It's always, they are all speech, right? You can even imagine my history teacher's class. Her tone, just like, so today I'm just introducing you guys about the tone. So now let's look at the PowerPoint. Okay, so the first one, it's like this. And the tone is always straight.
Flat.
And pretty small. And, in her speech, we always look at the PowerPoint and just know like a lot of example stories, just like, so guys, okay, so this time, let's see. So what are we going to learn? And what will we have some exercise in the test? So let's have a look. Just like this. And
Falling asleep.
In her speech class, in her class, you have two choices. The first choice, you try not to listen to her. You just don't listen to her. Maybe you just look the book, you just draw, you just do some homework, and finally, you can get a good mark, right? You can have a good learn from history, right? The second choice, you try to listen to her class. Finally, no one will win. Everyone will fall asleep. You know what? Her class, you can't just be pretty exciting and interesting. Whoa, what's carrying on? What's going on? Well, history. Well, no, not like that. You just fall asleep. How horrible. So finally, my history subject, it just become my worst subject. And so what I wanna tell you guys is just tone is pretty important. If you don't want your students just be like fell asleep and finally they just got a pretty not good mark, like a bad mark, like me, just try not do that. Just like be some exciting and interesting, and like your audience to be tracked on your speech. Just use your vocal writing, be better and be better. Well, actually, you can just look at yourself in a mirror and have a speech. Like try let your audience just focus on you, not like just going to sleep. And actually, how many minutes is in a class? Maybe 45 minutes, right? So 45 minutes. Finally, nothing you will get, because your speaker, your teacher just have a pretty straight tone and you got no points and nothing, no knowledge. That's utterly terrible, and that's not the main point in a speech, right? Actually, in a speech, if you do it, well, I must say, it's not that good. So tone is pretty good. It's pretty important, and I believe it's so I think you guys all need to practice and let your audience to be attracted on your speech.
Okay, thank you, Connie. And I find it really useful because I was going to say that I have the same problem with you with my computer science teacher in middle school. Like she's also really boring in terms of her tones. Her tone is flat, like water, you know, dry, and but at the same time like tasteless like water, and it lacks variation, so it doesn't really attract the student. And besides on that, most people kind of find like coding a sort of boring topic if they're not being guided well, because it seems boring. But if you have a good tone, like explaining some of the functions of some instructions, like input, output, you can say, well, guys, let's imagine if there's a box, and in the box there's a bunch of candy, and if you want to put more candy into the box, you need to use a tool, because if you're using your hand, the candy will melt under your sweat. So you need to use a tool to pick up the candy and put it in the box. That's how we use input as a code to put words into your computer. And imagine if you want to eat the candy, you want to take out some candy, and then you also need the same tool to pull it out. And that's why we use output to read what we inputted into our computer. So without that, you can't really use those information. Got it? So this is how you attract your audience or your students, and have variations. So just to add on to that. So thank you, Connie. And the last piece will be about pacing. And these hands, just for a bit of suspense, we won't go over this today because of the time. Also because we want to attract you guys to come to our next episode, where we will be talking about this and many more other new content, which we will reveal the next week, possibly. So please just regularly check into our YouTube or Bilibili channel. You never know when we upload a new video. Okay, so last part of today will be pacing. So pacing is like when you ride a car. At first you go like, and then you go fast. You go from slow to fast to a steady pace where you are like, you're like driving through a steady pace. That is where like you find your own pace, comfortable to yourself, and you're not staying at that pace, because same as driving a car, sometimes you go through curves or turns, and if you want to turn, you need to slow down, right? Same with the speeches. Sometimes when you're making specifically important points or statements, you want to go slower so that people pay more attention to it. What's going on with their brain is that they think, why is he suddenly slowing down? Why is he talking about that is so important? So they will listen even more closely to you because you're speaking slower than normal. And also they can hear you more clearly. If you're speaking too fast, like the side of the room and audience use or not of microphone level, blah, 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 and sometimes when you're making an important point, they can't really hear clearly. And so if you're doing it like this instead, we're talking about the size of the room and the audience, and if you're using or not a microphone, and also the level of background noise. So what I stressed in this part is the level of background noise, because I slowed down. And so you need to be sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes steady, depends on your speech, actually. All these come back to your speech. They're closely related. See, I'm using gestures. All these are closely related to your speech. You can't do it separately. You need to do it depending on your speech. They're just to help you deliver your speech better in a more attractive, interesting, relatable way. Okay? So that's why we also have pacing. Sometimes you need to speak fast because many times your time is limited, but you want to talk in detail. So what will happen is that for some not so relatively important part, you can speak faster, like what I'm doing right now. Like the tone of speech is how the audience feels when you speak. Speech will prompt the speaker to read the same content in different tones stated by the app. Examples of tone include serious, lighthearted, hurried, questioning, academic, coarse, personal, angry, and affectionate. So as I'm doing the speech, I am changing my pace. So, which is also called the speed of your speech. This is how you use it. And last of all, remember to control it all the time, because especially for beginners, when they are being really nervous on the stage, what they tend to do is they speak faster and faster without even realizing it. So if I'm doing a speech introducing myself, which is really basic, right? But some people tend to do it too fast that others can't even hear them. Like, hello guys, I'm Roy. I'm 15 years old. I'm going to grade 10 in Canada. So by now it's normal, right? But then they go faster because they're like, why is everyone staring at me? I need to finish this fast. I need to get out of here. So they're doing this really fast. So I have 2 dogs. I have 1 cat. I like blue. I play baseball. I play volleyball with my friends in the school team. I also like eating sushi. And so I go to band. I play the trombone and also play piano. And so that's disastrous. Pay attention to your speed. That's all. That's all for today. Is there anything you want to add on, Connie?
No, I think pretty good. Thanks, Roy.
Okay.
And thanks, everyone.
So yeah, thank you guys for using your time to listen to our babbling of public speaking. Hope this helps. And if you find any of these extremely helpful, thank us in the comment. We will like to hear your constructive comments too. If you have any suggestions for us to do things better, also don't forget to answer the question Connie asked you. Who is this guy? Because I told you this is Adolf Hitler, but do you know this guy? If you don't, then you're really living under a rock, which means you're living without any connections with the outside world. He's so yeah. So thank you guys for watching us again. We'll see you later. See you.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Have a good